As we know that Docker images command will list out all of the Docker images stored in our machine with some basic information such as image ID, repository name, and image tag to identify different images. But what if we want to know more about any particular image? Well, for that we have Docker inspect command. Docker inspect command returns information about every single Docker object who has contributed in the creation of a particular Docker image, which can be very useful at the time of debugging. Let's list out all of the Ubuntu images available on our local machine by writing command docker images ubuntu. There we are. We have 4 Ubuntu images with different image tags under Ubuntu repository. Let's inspect ubuntu latest Docker image. Type docker image inspect command followed by the image name that you want to inspect. We will type ubuntu latest here. Press enter, and as you can see, it has displayed the detailed information about the latest Ubuntu image in JSON array. Here we can see the extended image ID of Ubuntu latest followed by repo name and repo digest, which is the 64-digit hex number. Next, we have container identifier. Don't confuse it with the container running Ubuntu image. It is the intermediate container which Docker has created while building the Ubuntu image from Docker file. Container config is the configuration details about the same intermediate container which is stored as images metadata for reference. Next is the information related to Scratch image and its architecture, which is used as the base image here. It also mentions the actual and virtual size of the final image. And at last, we have rootfs identifier, which shows digest of all intermediate layers of this image. If you want to access a specific detail about an image, you can format the output of docker inspect command. Type docker inspect followed by the format tag. Provide arguments to format flag between inverted commas. Repo tags and repo digest separated by colon. At last, type docker image name. Press enter, and as a result, we got the repo tag and repo digest of Ubuntu latest. We can also save the inspect results of an image to a file in JSON format for future references. Here, we want to store the configuration details about this image in a text file. To do so, type docker image inspect format followed by json.config in double inverted commas and curly braces Ubuntu, and store the result in inspect_report_ubuntu.txt file. It is just a name that we have given to the file. You can give any name which you want. List out all of the available files. Inspect report Ubuntu has been successfully created. Let's check out the contents of this file. Config details about latest Ubuntu image is available in the text file. If you remember, rootfs identifier in the inspection of Ubuntu latest image showed only the digest of all intermediate layers in the image. Based on only digests, it is difficult to determine how the image was built. For that, we have docker history command. Docker history will show us all the intermediate layers of an image. Let's find out the intermediate layers of this image. Type docker image history Ubuntu in terminal. We got all the intermediate layers for our latest Ubuntu image. These layers are stacked sequentially, starting from the base image at the bottom to the CMD layer at the top of the results. All the layers have their associated image IDs, sizes, and their creation time. To dig deeper into this, let us find history of one of the image which we have built on our local Docker host. We will find history of img_apache. Now, type docker image history followed by the image name, which is img_apache, and press enter. You might be wondering why some of the rows of image column in both the results contain missing and some of them have their image IDs. As you may remember, the intermediate image IDs are given to the layers created by Dockerfile instructions, and they can be used for caching purpose by our own Docker host. But if an image is pulled from Docker Hub, such caching would not happen, and since it may cause environmental clashes, so we are not provided any image IDs for intermediate layers of pulled images. All we can know is they exist. We have two types of intermediate images which are easy to distinguish. One, which are built by some other Docker host and we have just used it as base image, and the ones which are committed by our instructions. You can also identify them by the time they were committed. The base image intermediate layers are 17 months old, whereas the other ones are committed just a few hours ago.